Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Deadly Class. A great episode. Holy crap, a wild, literal acid trip of an episode. A lot of stuff went down in this episode. It's interesting because I wasn't expecting like the whole squad to come, like Maria, Willie, and Saya as well. I thought it was just going to be like something Billy and Marcus are up to. But I figured as much like earlier in the episode, but it seems like definitely the way things kind of played out. Like the others had no idea that Billy and Marcus were there to kill Billy's dad. And it's actually kind of, crazy because like, Marcus picks like the worst time to get high, and for him, he hits it harder than everyone else. Everyone else is getting high and stuff like that, but he ends up hitting 7 hits of acid because he thought, oh, this is such hippie BS. I even love Billy being like, man, these hippies aren't that bad, man. It's like, it's all this claim about free love isn't really free, but it's cool. And Marcus is up there tripping major balls. They're all tripping, even Willie. But the fact of the matter is Marcus is tripping the hardest and the longest. That trip to Vegas was so crazy, like how it constantly kept shifting animation styles. I was like, oh dude, it's so beautiful, and just how it was just done and stuff like that. Even before that, you're seeing all that stuff that Marcus is seeing. He's all tripping and everything. The little leprechaun jumps down and lands on top of it, and it rips its face back and stuff like that, and he starts, like I said, losing his damn mind. And it's so interesting because I like how the episode started with him being there, being talked to the police. They see his ID or whatever, and then Lynn steps in. He's like, what the hell? He's like, what happened? I can't remember. And then he looks down his head and sees blood. He's like, oh, fuck. And it's like, it all kind of comes back to my... So I like the way the story was kind of told in that regard. But it's actually interesting kind of talking about the whole Billy situation, about like his dad. He actually talks about the fact that his dad actually kind of had a good side. You saw bits and pieces of who he could have been, who he was, but he was just, imprisoned by, stuck inside of this asshole that he was, Because even, because Marcus kept asking Billy, like, are you sure about this? And Billy's like, I have to. Like, if I don't, it's an absorbent amount of money that's owed. And if I don't do this, then, my brother's going to get shipped off to King's Dominion and my mom's going to be dead. And it's like, it's like... What was it that he said exactly? It was something along the lines of, when it comes to the people that you love, you're willing to do, you learn just like how much you're willing to do anything for them. So I even love that thing, once again, like Marcus tripping, and then it's him like at the police, like at, being caught by the cops and everything, and he's like on the TV, and it's a version of him and Billy's like, what's wrong with you, Marcus? Have you been smoking that wacky tobacco? I'm like, dude, this episode is nuts. Even later on when he's tripping and that guy's that thing's talking about, oh man, you're fucked, Marcus, both in your face and your ass. The fact is that it's just... Also, the whole Ice-T thing, I saw his name in the opening credits. I was like, what? And he's like, it's him on a slot machine being like, yeah, you give me your money and I take it from you, dumbass. And he's like, oh, tough luck, bitch, or something like that at the end. It was like, what? That's so crazy. I was wondering what the cameo was going to be in that regard. I was saying because I was like, oh man, Lynn's there tracking him down, but Lynn being like, oh, are you going to talk to your mom and apologize for essentially, disappointing her or something like that? And it's like, oh, Lynn was never really there. Just like the blood on his hands was never really there. It was all in his head. It's just like, technically, neither Billy nor Marcus ended up killing Billy's dad. It was kind of an accident. He tripped over Billy. But I think just like the Willie situation, I think Marcus went, no, that's all on me. Because you see Billy break down because, like, that's the crazy thing. It's like, no matter how much of a piece of shit his dad was, that was still his dad. Like I said, he saw the good parts of his dad. But for him, it's like, I have to do this terrible thing because if I don't, like, my family's screwed, So... And it's sad that Billy kind of had to be the one to kind of take that and just kind of like, even if he didn't directly do it, the fact of the matter is he's responsible for everything kind of playing out like that. So he's going to, because I think maybe on some level, and I think that's why Marcus wanted to do it for him, because it's like Billy was relying on him, but it's like, what did I do? I went and got high and I was useless to him. Like things maybe could have played out a little bit differently. I feel like the end result still would have been the same. And the fact is that, because Marcus was so high, like Billy could have easily gotten killed in that moment. So I don't know. It's a whole lot to deal with just in that regard. Then we find out about Chester later on, that being Burnface, who's after Marcus. Now it's kind of interesting, this whole thing of like, it seems like he knows about what went down at home, but the question then becomes like, because we saw from like that little recap of like, oh, that being his bump mate and everything, but the fact of the matter is like Marcus seemed like he was working on a bomb or something. So once again, like he says he didn't kill all those people there, so my thought process was he probably set the building on fire. Home dude Chester is probably the one that actually killed all 12, like the 12 kids or whatever that died. It was most likely Chester that did that. And maybe Marcus was going to be one of his next victims, and then Marcus set off the bomb. He's like, I hurt people to get out, but he didn't kill anyone. So that's what he expressly told the Saya. So I'm thinking like, oh, it must be a situation. That might be what went down. Because like I said, they showed that whole point of him having the bomb in that animated scene and everything like that. So it makes me go, so what was that then if that wasn't the case, you know? So, but it also seemed like Chester doesn't want to just outright kill Marcus, because basically I was like, basically because Marcus is the one who got all the attention for what happened in at home. So I think for him, he's like, no, I want the reputation. I got to put a little pizzazz on it if I want it. So he's kind of like a serial killer, and the fact is he wants his name out there, and Marcus has all the attention and stuff. Like, I even love that before he realized it was him. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna smell like shit. Like, say something to the dude. I can't think, what am I supposed to say? Shit, I need to say something right now. What is elevator etiquette? You know, so then he went to Maria, and Maria, you know, was trying to comfort him, and he ended up finding out the passport. Then him and Maria about to hook up, and then bam, Chico showed up, because Chico was following them there. Holy crap, that turned into what it did. You would think Chico would have been a little more, I guess because of his cartel connections and stuff like that, King's Dominion, he probably could have covered up, but it's like, man, you were shooting in public. I mean, to be fair, it's the 80s, so I'm sure like there's definitely not the whole, you know, CCTV situation. Like there might be eyewitnesses and stuff like that, but you know, I'm sure everything went so fast, like no one got a good enough look. One of the up close witnesses was a store clerk, and he ended up dying, but man, did Chico mess Marcus up. And what's so interesting about Marcus being like defected to matter is, you know, it's moments kind of like that where you kind of realize just how insignificant your life is, that, you know, God's not really watching out for you, that, you know, the universe moves on without you. So, but when the time came, you know, the others showed up to try and stop him, and he stabbed Billy. That kind of made me go, oh shit, this is crazy. And Willie pulled up the gun, but then like Chico was like, yeah, but I heard the rumors about you. Fact is, you never get your hands dirty. You get other people in your crew to do it. So he kind of called Willie out, but Willie couldn't pull the trigger. And it's like, dude. So, and the fact is, that happened in front of everyone else. So I think the others might be in the process of knowing, like, oh, wow, more about Willie's situation of him kind of being the pacifist that he is. So, you know, it's interesting, too, because understanding, like, why Maria, because it's like, you know, you have Chico being like, the fact of the matter is my family saved you. If it wasn't for us, them, you'd be dead. She's like, I am dead. Basically, you whore me out to people for information. I get close to a target. Like, that's the kind of, like, that's her whole deal. It's like, that's what my whole point is. I get close to people so you can learn whatever you need to about them. Like, obviously, like, Chico had referenced that about Saya. Now, the whole, I'll go ahead and talk about it, but the whole Saya, and like, you could tell, like, Saya and Marcus, especially after last episode, like, something was happening there. And just kind of, like, the way they kind of talk with each other and kind of laugh, like, I think that's the only other person Saya ever got really close to. I mean, maybe Maria, but I feel like there's something there between her and Marcus, and finding out like, oh, Maria and Marcus are about to do it, and then also like seeing them together, like she moves the rearview mirror so she doesn't have to look back at him. But that's a little disheartening, because that's not just going to affect her and Marcus, that's also going to affect her and Maria, like especially after what Maria just went through, killing Chico like that and all that. But the thing is, like, they had to leave Chico's body, and the fact is, Lynn made it clear, you're not supposed to kill somebody, but the whole point was, like, he was going to kill everyone there and bury their bodies. He made it clear what would happen next time, like, Maria kind of, like, crossed him in some shape or form, so. Because the fact of the matter is, he was, you know, because she even talked about it with Marcus, like, someone who's so caught up in his own delusion that he thinks everything he does is love. It's like, yeah, whoring me out the people to get close to your targets and stuff like that, you think, is that really love to you? Like, he's caught up in his own delusion of like, oh, we're some fairy tale love couple or something like that, when in actuality they're not. It's like, the fact of the matter is, you know, being used and abused by him in that regard, like being afraid for her life, you know, not being free of him, you know. But she ended it by, I think it's because I was curious, like, I think it is more impactful for it to be Maria to be the one to put him down, because it's like, for her, I think she probably wouldn't have ever felt free until she did. The thing, though, is, like, what's going to be interesting, though, is they had to make a point to, like, no one else can know, because if they ever found out that Maria, not only just because, like, oh, you killed a student and everything, but it's also because if the cartel ever found out, they'd come after Maria. So what does that say about, you know, Chico's family and everything? Like, what does that say about Maria's position going forward now that Chico's potentially dead? Granted, no one knows he's dead necessarily. They just might know he's missing. He just up and left. I don't know how they're going to cover that up, what they're going to do about that. Like I said, they had to leave his body, but Chester's there. And so part of me is wondering, like, is Chester going to take that kill and be like, oh no, I'm the one who did it, just so he can get all the glory, so they won't have to worry about it. They won't have to worry about lying to Lynn because the lie will already be established. Potentially, I don't know. I'm curious to see what that whole Chester thing ends up turning into. But everyone is quiet on the way back, because just like everything is fucked in that regard, just what went down. You know, like I said, Maria's there to comfort Marcus and everything, but... And also Billy, you know, not only did he get stabbed, he killed his dad, and that's still weighing on him. It was just kind of like, everyone kind of thought this would be some fun road trip, and it ended up being kind of just a complete another shit show. You know, it's so interesting. Like I said, the show balanced that so interesting. It's got like, oh man, this trippy acid trip stuff, and then like lo and behold, like it gets serious near the end, and you know, it all ends like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the next episode has in store for them. Like when they get back, is Lynn going to have any questions and stuff like that? I mean, for him, it's like the whole point is for him to train them to be killers anyway. So the fact of the matter is he really going to care too much? I mean, to be fair, they left behind a lot of evidence. Granted, we don't know exactly what Billy and Marcus did with Billy's dad's body. Also, what was up with that like neon sign clown being like, oh, I see you, Marcus, you know what you need to do. It's also interesting too, because I thought it was kind of an impactful thing in this episode too, where Marcus was kind of like, why did I take all those drugs and stuff like that? For him, it's like, because I wanted to show off. I wanted to show them like I'm not scared, but in actuality, I am. I'm scared of being alone. The fact of the matter is not having one friend or one home, you know? That's what his big fear is. And that's like Marcus has always been showing up because he's afraid. He's afraid that if he doesn't, you know, that maybe they'll up and leave. And like, on some level, I understand that, and that's what kind of trips me out a little bit, because well, personally, I have a weird fear of like kind of people not liking me and I end up all alone. I keep myself alone, but also just because I try too hard, and I think that's Marcus's thing. He tries too hard because he's trying to overcompensate, because the fact of the matter is he's afraid of being alone, you know? I think at the end of the day, like even if we all die alone, nobody wants to live their life with no one by their side just to end up dying alone. It's just fucking sad, you know? And I don't know. That was just... It's just an interesting thing that, like, he came to that thought process of, like, that's why he does what he does. Like I said, I'm very interested to see what goes down when they get back to Dominion. But what's also going to be interesting, too, is, like I said, the Chester situation. Like, I don't know if Marcus realizes that was real or not. He might think it was part of his, like, acid trip delusions. Also, side note, wasn't the hippie that gave him drugs, isn't that the same actor who played Rory, the dude he killed? You know? It's kind of interesting because, like, in retrospect, it's like he had blood on his hands, but, like, he never, well, the only parts of, like, I mean, at least that we saw he touched of Billy's dad's body was like his legs and stuff. So it's like, where I was like, not unless that's, I mean, because in his acid trip, in one of them, he saw, you know, it was him killing Rory, but it was in reverse. And it, you know, like I said, that was so interesting. Like, but the thing is, he'd give anything to go back to being, you know, be with his parents again, like be their little boy again, but no chance of that happening, you know? Side note, like, how much do they have to pay for a lot of licensing for stuff like that? Like, the fact of the matter is they had Ghostbusters on the TV. Even had that point where Billy became, what's his, Slimer? I'm not that familiar with Ghostbusters. I've seen it, like, a few times, maybe when I was super young, but I don't remember it that well. But nevertheless, it was just kind of interesting. I feel like you probably had to pay a pretty penny for that in some shape or form. But nevertheless, like I said, this is, like, the most, like, crazy out there animated, you know, CGI and stuff thing episode, you know? So it's, like I said, crazy acid trip episode. I'm very interested to see where all this takes us going forward into the next episode, not just for, also like what's the dynamics, like are they all going to be the same after this, like, because once again, like what's Willie going to do if he thinks like, yeah, everyone knows that he couldn't pull the trigger, like is he going to try and make some excuses, or is he just going to be open with them? Are they going to be the ones that know his truth? I mean, to be fair, they've all got this huge secret. I mean, Billy and Marcus got an even more there, so it's like there's secrets amongst that group that the rest of the group doesn't know, but they have this one big secret, that being the whole Chico thing. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how they handle it all. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.